So, very brief conclusions, because that's quite in depth and a lot of information anyway, is that what I'm really saying is that with these proto-UFOs, these plasma forms, Earth-like display intelligence. That's much we've seen. And experiences are phenomenologically are very similar to spiritual encounters, which is something that was a bit of a revelation to me when I discovered that. Conversely, also, you could turn this around and look at how phenomena like Foo Fighters could have actually been what we consider crisis lights in spiritual encounters. If you consider the situation, the circumstances the aircrew were finding themselves in on the raids over Germany, that would in spiritual encounters, that's what we describe as crisis, possibly as crisis lights. The idea that what I'm calling proto-UFO plasmas are essentially conscious, essentially non-biological life forms is not new at all. There's a researcher called Trevor James Constable who referred to UFOs as critters, claiming this was in the 50s or 60s that these were plasma life forms. And originally this was originally an idea put forward by I forgot his name, Charles Ford. So, do conscious sentient energy forms exist or live in the Earth itself? And I mentioned Jeffrey Hodgson's depiction of this gnome forming in rock, and I do wonder these days now whether the idea that when we see these energetic forms in the atmosphere, do we actually have similar things but within the Earth that we just don't see because they're underground, obviously? And you look at the work of these people who are clairvoyants, describing fairies, and the way that Jeffrey Hodgson describes the fairies in his book, to me, he's talking about the same phenomenon we've been talking about all evening. He just experiences it at a different level, where he sees these anthropomorphic entities, where it's very similar to the Howard Menzies case, is what I'm saying. So, geology rocks, are these subterraneans? Can rocks also have a consciousness? But fundamentally, the message here is that proto-UFOs, to me, act as an interface. They are not spaceships that I believed as a kid. They seem to be more akin to natural phenomena that maybe have their own sentience, but also are manipulated by alien intelligence, used by alien intelligence. They appear to be a conduit between ourselves and other realms. So this is a still from the movie Knowing. In the film, the aliens are messengers, and as researcher Pierre Sevat points out, aliens and angels are it's a synonymous term. It means the same thing. So what I'm suggesting is in angels, in the manifestation of this experience, this is an experience driven, what I'm arguing by maybe natural proto-UFOs, but with a real intelligence behind it. So it's my personal contention that these experiences are derived from proto-UFO interactions. So as we saw with the lights that Tony Dodd witnessed. In my view, on Carl Skipton earlier, these led him to a spiritual awakening. Dodd, who's a police sergeant of the Skipton police station, would have been imparted with spiritual information, spiritual truths that he would document and record on tape, giving them to Manlands Hospice in Oxenhope, which is coincidentally where my father passed away. And he did that in order that people would hear these messages that he would record. He would record. He wasn't channeling. He would record these messages afterwards, and he'd in the hope that these messages would soothe and relax and give hope to the people who were dying in the hospice. So Dodd tried to reach out to people in a manner that wouldn't be out of place in biblical accounts of encounters with light forms, cassette tape recordings aside. So, in an article I published in our conference magazine back in 2015, I think, I said this. I said, indeed, it is possible that just like Dave Bowman's experience in the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, the projection screen of the UFO phenomena may be an artificial construct. In the fictional Bowman case, it was a monolith or the dimensions of the cinema screen. In the UFO experience case, it is perhaps simply a natural proto-UFO that is the basis of the projection, or indeed a natural UFO, but just perhaps it's an engineered phenomenon. So in the movie 2001, the monolith is literally the dimension to the cinema screen. This is one of the tricks that, or the interesting parts of the story and of the work of Kubrick and Clarke in writing the story. And it was a source of, it's seen as being to document the alchemical process, actually, by the work by is it J. Widener? However, within its projections of the monolith in the film, we see that Dave Bowman, the last remaining astronaut, ends up in a hotel room scene at the end where he goes through all these odd things. If you've seen the film, it seems to happen. These are all the kind of things that is very, very similar to what I think is happening with the proto-UFOs. This is the same kind of, whether that's what Kubrick and Arthur C. Clarke were writing about, I couldn't tell you, but to me it's the same process. So I think at a deeper level of the UFO experience, the phenomenon is interfacing with human beings in a similar way, using constructs that we can relate to. So thank you very much for listening.